Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, and we just got an interesting blue sky skeet and tweet a few days ago from EDHRec that was talking about how they kind of did a little bit of a survey out there for the 10 worst Magic sets of all time. Some of these are a little odd to me, and so I figured, much like many others on the internet, we're going to go through it and kind of give my thoughts on these sets. And then I think after I'm done assessing why I think some of these made it onto the list, I think what I'm going to do is then go through what I think were the 10 worst sets of all time. And I'm going to give some more context to why I think those things, whether it be pricing, mechanics, etc. So without further ado, let's get straight into this whole poll and things like that. So to start off, apparently it wasn't a huge sample size, right? It was people who had responded to their tweet asking, and these are all based on the responses that they got. And so the list goes as follows. In at number 10 is Spiderman, which isn't released yet. Then there's Homelands, then Assassin's Creed, Aftermath, not Edge of Eternities, All Will Be One, and then we had March of the Machines Aftermath, Karlov Manor, Final Fantasy, Fallen Empires, Dragon's Maze, then all Universes Beyond sets, and then Aetherdrift. So some of these are, like I said, a little odd to me. So let's start in with number 10, Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, I think, made it onto this list mainly because it is the newest Universes Beyond set that's going to be coming out, the most recent one. The spoilers that we have seen for the set haven't been overly exciting. I'm generally seeing from a lot of people online, and even from some friends that I talked to, somewhat of a burnout. And I think that Spider-Man probably made it on here, not because the set mechanically is going to be bad or unplayable, right? But I think it's symptomatic of just like the whole change in the player base, right? We have Universes Beyond set to be in standard now, starting with Final Fantasy, then there'll be Spider-Man, then Avatar, etc. And half of our 6 sets per year will be Universes Beyond. And especially when, with the exception of the Soul Stone, at least from my personal opinion, there haven't been anything spoiled for Spider-Man that has been super exciting. And I think when we look at this roster, there's a few that make sense. There are absolutely a few that make sense. But I think some of these are making it on due to recency bias, and then also based on current sentiments towards Universes Beyond and Wizards' direction, rather than how the set functions in and of itself. Which we can't discount, the vibes people have towards a set, right? Because that has affected sets in the past. And when we get to the second half of this video, when I talk about the sets that I actually think were the worst, we'll kind of look more at that. But yeah, Spider-Man, number 10. In at number 9, we have Homelands. Homelands makes perfect sense to me. I'm actually shocked that Homelands is not further up the list. There are a lot of cards in Homelands that just are completely useless. And this has been gone over by a lot of people, but Homelands was a very weak set from a weak block that was kind of put out, and not a lot of cards had any kind of value in it. And it's famous for the card Didgeridoo, which, if you don't know what Didgeridoo is, it will be on screen either now or beforehand. And Didgeridoo was a card that says you use its ability to bury or destroy all cards from the Homeland set. So hey, if you ever have a friend who builds a Homelands themed commander deck, blow them out with Didgeridoo. But it was weak. Its cards didn't do a whole lot. I'll probably put a few Homelands cards up on screen. I believe Serrated Arrows was probably the best card from Homelands. But yeah, Homelands, it absolutely deserves to be on this list much more than some of these other ones. In at number 8 is Assassin's Creed, and I actually understand why this one is on here. Do I think that it should edge out some of the other ones? No, but I get why it's on here, right? Assassin's Creed, much like Aftermath, which will be number 7, is a set where it wasn't draftable because they're those tiny packs, right? I never bought any packs of this because they were overpriced and being sold for way too much money for what you got out of it, right? At the time, like, any of the cards were pretty cheap. You can still get most of the cards for extremely cheap. You can't draft with them. Lots of repeats, same problems we had with Aftermath, and it was too late for Wizards to course correct after the blowback from Aftermath, and so they put this out there. It was kind of dead-ish on arrival. I'm sure there were some people who were really excited for it, and then, like I said, there are some good cards from it. We have, I believe it's Excalibur from there. We have Alexios, who is a very disgusting mono red commander card, and there's the I believe it's the free running guy, or the dude who ninjutsu's assassins in. But other than that, this one I kind of understand. I think it made the top 10 list now because of how recent it was compared to something much older. Then at number 7, we've got Aftermath. Same thing, right? It was Wizards' first attempt at a mini set. Lots of problems with it overall. It's a ton of repeats. Most of the cards weren't worth a lot. Yes, it has Nissa in it, and it also has Open the Way in it, but overall, not very much. I think I bought like 6 or 7 boosters for this. I wasn't overly excited, especially since, unfortunately, the entire set got leaked before it came out. And then, there was the controversy with the Pinkertons. So I think that Aftermath made it on here, both because of the, 7-card booster aspect. Again, you can't draft it. It was like 45 cards. And then also the, public backlash that came out of it, right? Like, sending Pinkertons to somebody because they leaked. There's better ways. We all know this. There's better ways than sending one of the worst organizations. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. But just bad overall. And with a lot of these sets, recency bias, I think, is also playing a factor in there. Kind of. Just the more fresh something is in your mind, the more you're going to think about that, right? So you're going to think more about Aftermath than you're going to think about, print problems in a set 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Next, we have Karlov Manor. And I'm going to be honest with you. I get why this one could be on here. It was the first of what people deemed as the hat sets, right? It was the detective set for Ravnica, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I was am an active Magic player. Have been for many years. Only took a break from 2015 to 2017 or 18, right? I didn't realize that Karlov Manor released at the time. That in the clue set just poof out of my mind. Just did not realize and did not see. And the thing is Aftermath had some good cards in it, right? It had the Surveil lands, if I recall correctly. And there are some other ones that functionally do well in sets like Commander, but I think it's making it on here because of the silly nature of it. Like I said, hat sets, I myself am not a big fan of noir, and when everybody is a noir detective in a set, it just kind of feels off. But yeah, that one, I think, pretty simple reason why it made it on there. Again, it's a newer set that people think about a lot. But yeah. In at number 5, we have Final Fantasy. So, I can't look into the minds of everybody who responded, but I think Final Fantasy made it onto this list strictly for two reasons. The biggest reason being the cost of Final Fantasy, right? We all know the cost of Final Fantasy, how collector booster boxes spiked up to $1,300, how regular play boosters were $9, and then couple that in with it is the first Universes Beyond set that was a standard set, right? There's a lot of anxiety and frustration from a lot of players who don't like Universes Beyond, but want to play standard and things like that, that they are now forced to participate in a Universes Beyond set when before they were kind of told that that wouldn't be a mandatory thing. But I don't think it's because of the mechanics. Although I didn't draft this set and I don't have a lot of Final Fantasy cards. I have a couple friends that are huge into Final Fantasy, have loved the cards, have been longtime Magic players, pretty much as long as I've played Magic. And the set seems to play well. It's obviously very popular, but I think it, again, made it on here because it was the first standard legal Universes Beyond set and because of the cost. And leave your comments in below whether or not you think it was the cost or the Universes Beyond aspect that made this set more divisive. Like, which one is the bigger factor in it? But yeah, that's why I think Final Fantasy made it on this list. In at number 4, we have Fallen Empires. This is another one that makes perfect sense to me. And Fallen Empires being on here, I have to imagine that a lot of long-term Magic players answered with Fallen Empires. And then I also think that a lot of newer Magic players who actually didn't interact with Fallen Empires, but heard secondhand how bad it was and how many different YouTube videos there's been talking about how bad Fallen Empires was, probably also by default put it on there. But Fallen Empires absolutely deserves to be on there. I can't really think of a whole lot of cards from Fallen Empires that are any good. I think, correct me if I'm wrong now, but I believe Order of the Ebon Hand and Order of Leaper, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, are from Fallen Empires, and those are about the best cards I can think of from that set. They have First Strike, and Order of the Ebon Hand has Pro White, so it has Pro Swords. Order of the Ebon Hand actually used to see a fair amount of play as a creature, but it doesn't save the set from having a whole bunch of weak creatures, a whole bunch of stuff that just wasn't working out properly. And, at a time where Magic, there were a lot of sets that were really powerful, really strong, and then this thing kind of came in and reset it, just not well received, not well liked. And I think for the majority, I don't know what prices are on it right this second, but I think the majority of my Magic career, there haven't been really cards in that set worth more than $1. Like, maybe a couple worth more than $1. Next, we have Dragon's Maze, and I remember this set because it was Return to Ravnica. Everybody was really excited because everybody loved Ravnica, right? Like when I first started playing Magic, Judgment was new, but then when I first really started diving deep, when I used to work at a movie theater, and everybody at the movie theater got into Magic, and Ravnica was the new big set at that time. So a lot of them had, I remember one friend had a Boros deck. We had a friend with a Golgari deck, an Orsov deck, right? And that's what got a whole bunch of my friends at the theater started into Magic. So, you had all this nostalgia. And then we get to Return to Ravnica, and Return to Ravnica was great. Gatecrash was really great. And then Dragon's Maze came out, and I think this one makes it on because a lot of the mechanics just fell kind of flat and just didn't work. And, I know a lot of people say this was a result of the 3-block sets, but there were 3-block sets or 3-set blocks where the third set in the block was strong, right? Like Future Sight was the third set in a block, really, really strong. There was, the Urza sets, right? And I just think that, and original Ravnica, etc. But this one, it was just super weak. And I think, I can't prove this, but I would care to guess that the somewhat failure of Dragon's Maze probably heavily influenced Wizards' long-term decision to move away from 3 set blocks, then down to 2 set blocks, and then from 2 set blocks eventually down to, we get 1 set and there is no blocks. But yeah, I like there wasn't a lot of value in the set. That just didn't have a lot of synergy. It just it felt meh. I remember distinctly remembering it feeling meh when I went to a pre-release for this and when I drafted this. And like I love pre-release events, but it was just Number 2, it's all Universes Beyond sets. Now they say in here that they did that because they had so many comments that said all things Universes Beyond. So for the All Universes Beyond, I understand this. I have friends in my friend group who just absolutely revile Universes Beyond, right? I have even said in a previous video that when Universes Beyond started, I was not a big fan of them. I've kind of come around because I think long term, although some properties, better than others, I think that bringing new people into the game and giving them more ways to express themselves is a net positive on the game. I completely understand why there are folks who don't like Universes Beyond. And especially now, I understand because a lot of folks, were able to avoid Universes Beyond if they were standard players, etc. But now that Universes Beyond is in standard and it's so pervasive and it's half of all sets and, popping up in secret layers all over the place, in addition to these sets, and we've had, Fallout with its commander set, etc. I understand why the current sentiment is all Universes Beyond sets, and it's the current big problem in Magic the Gathering, right? Viewed by a lot of people. You have a lot of older players who don't like it. You have some newer players who don't like it, but I don't think, one, Universes Beyond isn't going away anytime soon. Maybe a decade or so when they've run out of really strong intellectual properties to print from. But it's here to stay, whether that be for good or bad. But I get why it's on here. The thing is that of the sets that we have got that are Universes Beyond, like we're gonna talk about the actual sets, right? So exclude Doctor Who, exclude Fallout because they were just commander sets. When we look at Lord of the Rings, the set was designed very well. It functioned really well. It had a lot of very popular cards in it, some good premium reprints in it, and overall that set was received exceedingly well. Like general sentiment, like I saw a few like tweets and stuff that here and there, but even like friends of mine who do not like Universes Beyond, some of them were fine with Lord of the Rings, and their main argument is because it fits more with like the feel of Magic, but they were fine with that. It's just especially this year with like the shift with Final Fantasy and then Spiderman and Avatar, a Sonic Secret Lair, SpongeBob Secret Lair, etc. That I think that it's starting to shift because there's just so much coming all at once. And then number 1 was Aetherdrift. I'll be honest with you, I did not purchase a whole lot of this set. I'm not a big racing fan, right? And I did purchase some individual singles from this set because there are some really cool singles from this set. There's Hackathon and then, there's the Frog God. The Frog God, and then Ketramos. It's, there's some cards that saw some standard play. But I think that Aetherdrift, much like Karlov Manor, hit because of the whole hat set thing, right? Like everything's a meme, everything's a joke. Some people do like their lore. Like not everything has to be a joke. And luckily, like with Edge of Eternities, it was done in a much more serious manner, or at least like the feeling, right? Like I don't know about the lore for that set because I haven't read it yet, but the feel of the set was much more serious and magic-y. And then we had Tarkir, which kind of reset. So I think that Aetherdrift, for being a hat set and then being in an atmosphere where people see Bloomburrow and really like it, and it feels very magic-y, and we have Edge of Eternities, and we have Tarkir, and that also feels very magic. I think that they kind of suffered from being the like a nail in the coffin for like headsets. Like, I'm surprised Aether Junction didn't make it on here, because like I although I grew up on westerns, I didn't grow up on spaghetti westerns, but westerns, my dad loved westerns. I didn't like that. I'm like, oh, it's just cowboys, right? I still got some cards, individual cards from the set, but like, it wasn't something that I opened. Yeah. So, this is what folks who responded to EDHRec think are the worst sets of all time. So, now I kind of want to talk about what I think are the worst of all time. I'm not going to do 10, because this video is going to be forever and a day long. But, I've been playing Magic since 2001, 2002-ish. And so I'm going to also make the caveat. I'm going to do the 5 worst sets that have come out, in my opinion, like how I felt about those sets. No empirical data behind them. Just like how I felt during those sets since I've played Magic. Because, I get Homelands and Fallen Empires were generally bad, but I didn't play Magic during those sets. So, I don't have the same lens as somebody who played through them, right? So, without further ado, let's get straight into my 5. Okay, so we're going to start with my number 5 for what I felt was the worst. Again, no empirical data behind this. This is kind of like EDHRec's thing, seemingly based on vibes and how people felt. So, in at number 5, I actually do have something that agrees with EDHRec's survey, and that is the Assassin's Creed set, but I'm going to partner it with Aftermath for all of the reasons I talked about why I thought they made it on the list in the first part of this video. And it's because they were micro sets that couldn't be drafted, were overpriced for what you got, had low card variance because they were small sets, and just overall, they... Like, what could I do with it, right? Like, if I felt bad when I bought packs of Aftermath. It was a feel bad experience because, like I said, I can't draft it. And it's really unfun opening, the few booster packs I did and getting the same 5-cent rare every pack. Sometimes twice in a pack if you got a foil of it. And that is just a profoundly unfun experience, right? Like, part of the excitement of opening packs is all the different stuff you open, right? Like the wide variance of like large sets. So yeah, I am glad that Wizards kind of learned from this and isn't doing it anymore. Thank goodness. Give people more ways to play more ways to play without taking away their fun, right? In at number 4, I've got another set that I agree with from this. And again, I talked about it, Dragon's Maze, right? I'm not going to go over it too much again because we already talked about it, but it was a very weak set. For the people who like value in cards, there was no value in the set. Its mechanics, its characters, etc. were just very weak. Even the Dragon Maze part of the story seemed very weak compared to the rest of the Return to Ravnica. Just overall felt like a letdown, and like I said, I think it very heavily contributed. I don't know for sure. Maybe there's a statement out there from Wizards that says that it was part of the reason why they stopped 3 set blocks. But yeah, Dragon's Maze, not great. Next, we have Saviors of Kamigawa. I know, controversial opinion. Everybody talks. If you ever talk to an older Magic player, they will list Kamigawa as probably one of the worst sets of all time, up there with Mercadian Masks, etc. So I want a caveat here. I actually really enjoyed Champions and Betrayers of Kamigawa. I really liked them. I know the mechanic's terrible, but I like the Bushido mechanic that came with Champions of Kamigawa. I like the flavor. of Japan. But the thing is that like Saviors of Kamigawa, I believe, was the set that had Soul Shift in it, and just like the mechanics in it just did not work. Soul Shift was very clunky, not great. And you can kind of extend the Saviors of Kamigawa to the rest of it, right? Most of the mechanics in that set did not function like in a very effective or intuitive manner. We have Splice into Arcane. I can't remember what the one keyword is that has only a 4-card set of it. It's like they're missing one of the colors for it. But overall, it was, and it came on the backs of Mirrodin, so it was very weak. And although I didn't play a super ton of Mirrodin, like Kamigawa was a noticed step back. I will say this, for those of you who don't remember about the Kamigawa block, Umezawa's Jitte came in a starter deck, a 60-card starter deck, the Rat deck, and that deck was impossible to find anywhere. I got my copies at Hy-Vee, a grocery store chain, for those of you who don't know. But yeah, Saviors of Kamigawa, just it didn't function properly, and it didn't even function well with the rest of the sets in the block. So when you drafted the 3 together, they didn't mesh well together, and yeah, it was rough because I liked the flavor and direction of Kamigawa then. I actually like the feudal Japan and Kami aspect better than I like Neon Dynasty and the futuristic Kamigawa. I just wish I wish it had been done better, so that way we could have gotten to see more of that. In at number 2 is Legions. Now, I know that some of the most iconic creatures ever in Magic the Gathering came from Legions, right? We have Phage the Unplayable, and then we have Akroma, Angel of Wrath, right? But the problem with Legions is everything was a creature. Everything was a creature. If I recall correctly, there aren't sorceries, instants, etc. It's all creatures all the time in that set, and most of those creatures were really, really bad. And overall, I bought packs of this set when I was a kid, and I added some of the cards to my set, but like a lot of the cards just were miserable. And like, yeah, Chroma was fun, and yeah, Phage was fun, but you get beyond a Chroma and Phage, and there's not a whole lot from the set that you can be like, oh yeah, this was stellar, this was great. I do like the concept of like a creature only set. That seems kind of cool, right? Like Wizards could attempt that as a small set or something like that in the future, where there's a plane where there's some kind of dampening matrix or something, right? Where magic just doesn't work on the plane, so it's just creatures doing creature stuff. It's like our reality, right? But yeah, Legions was just not a solid one, and I might take some flack from my fellow old-timey Magic folks, but you got to admit it was not great. And then at number 1, you can consider this cheating if you want. Magic 30. I don't know how this didn't make it onto the EDHRec rec list. I don't know how, because it was marketed as kind of like a set, right? A big celebration of Magic's 30 year, but the $1,000 or whatever it was for some booster packs of non-tournament legal cards. This could have been, and I put this as the worst set of all time, and I will stick by that it is a set, because it was an opportunity for Wizards to have like the easiest dub of all time. Easiest dub, right? Had they not charged a bajillion dollars for these, and they mass distributed boxes of these, proxies is essentially what they are. They're legal proxies. Mass distribute these to their WPN network stores, and then letting people draft them, right? There are not a whole bunch of the Magic the Gathering player base are still people who are around in alpha and beta. I wasn't around in alpha and beta. 99.9% of my friends weren't around during alpha and beta. And you hear those those nostalgic things about like people who drafted with early Magic cards, etc. Right? And this could have been a way for these to be like $3 or $4 packs. Hell, $7 would have even been fine. And then you draft that, and imagine those experiences those new Magic players could have had, where they're like, okay, this is a celebration of 30 years of Magic. We're so glad you're in the game. Here, play with the original cards. You know, feel what it's like to draft an Ancestral Recall or a Black Lotus. You know, you can't play these in a legal tournament, so it doesn't get by the reserved list, right? They're just proxies. You can draft your Sarah Angel, you can draft all of this stuff, and you can play these cards. You can have your Black Lotus into you know, Busted Thing, or, well, you know, those were very powerful cards, but they did not usually ramp into Busted Things, because Busted Things were like, you know, an angel or a dragon, right? But I think if people look at things objectively, Magic 30 should be on this list as long as you consider it a set. I consider it a set because of the nature of how it's marketed. I absolutely find that to be the worst set of all time. It had its good cards because they're non-legal proxies, but the amount of cost that and missed opportunity Wizards had by taking something that should have been a celebration for everyone in the game and then turning it into what it did, and we saw the backlash from it, right? That's why, you know, I think that was the worst Magic set of all time. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the EDHRec list. I really want to know what you all think about those 10 sets. Then I really want to know what you guys think about my 5 that I talked about here. And then if you could, let me know what sets weren't your favorite. Like, which ones, you know, weren't your cup of tea, so as it will. And, you know, actually looking at this set, and I was for this video, I was kind of scrolling through all the sets that have come out since I played Magic, and there are some bangers in there that people forget. And so you know what I might do to follow this video up is I am probably going to do a my 5 favorite sets of Magic since I started playing. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. 5, maybe more, you know, because there are a lot of sets that I love. And you know what? Might include some blocks in there too. But I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.